Former Chiefs wide receiver Danan Hughes will be part of the call there in Frankfurt, Germany, over on the Chiefs radio network Sunday morning. Danan, appreciate you joining us, man. You got to be getting pretty excited. You're leaving a little bit later on today, right?
Venus Schnitzel. That's the only thing I know so far, guys.
That's good enough. You'll be fine with that.
Heineken. I know that too.
I was going to say, you got a long flight to brush up on your German.
Yes, I got the YouTube video of the things I need to know, 20 different things that I should be prepared for over there. So I'm doing some homework just like I'm doing it on the game. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. Looking forward to the trip. 9.5-hour flight. Ooh. So that should be interesting. Other than that, it's football as usual, so it should be fun.
Do you think you'll be able to sleep? Like, are you good about sleeping on planes, or is this one of those where you got to have videos and stuff because you just won't be able to fall asleep?
I absolutely fall asleep. I could fall asleep and get a great sleep from here to St. Louis.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
wow.
Definitely overseas. So I have no problem. Josh Klingler and I, we are sleepers on the plane. Yeah, it will not be an issue, especially since it's an overnight flight. It will absolutely not be an issue for me to fall asleep. I did upload some episodes of some shows I'm watching and movies, but I would be hard pressed to believe that I'm even going to get to them.
Danan, when you look at the wide receiver matchup, obviously with Tyreek Hill, what is considered a win with him anymore? He's got 1,000 yards on the season through 8 games. Is it just as simple as if he doesn't get a 50-yard touchdown, you're good?
No, I think, part of me wonders, okay, is this kind of a Jordan rules game? Is he the Michael Jordan where he's going to get his, we just need to stop everybody else? Or is it one of those deals where there have been defenses that have been successful against him? And that success probably is somewhere around 5 or 6 catches for 60 yards, hopefully not a touchdown, not take the top off the defense. That, to me, would be an extreme success. But I feel like our young guys, as long as they don't get caught, thinking that's Tyreek Hill. And I remember playing against, big-time players. You're playing against Deion Sanders. You're playing against, a lot of great players in the NFL. And you have to be able to box it out. You have to be able to carve it out of your brain that you're playing against an elite player and just go out there and play your game. I feel confident in our guys. I feel like the strength, you can make an argument that the strength of our defense at this point has been the defensive backfield. We haven't allowed too many big plays. And I feel like even coming after the Denver Broncos game where L'Jarius Sneed had some issues, had some penalties, didn't play his best game. I feel like that is momentum enough, and it can open up the door for them to have a lockdown type of game against this dangerous wide receiver crew.
On the flip side, the Chiefs wide receiver room, it's the talk of the week. It's really been the talk of the season. What's it like being in that room? I'm sure you guys had some weeks back when you were playing where it was a rough go for the wide receivers, and everybody in town is saying you suck and that they should go trade for guys. What does that do? Is that just strictly a motivation thing, or does that also cause some issues for the room?
It definitely should be a motivation. And, I played with a great quarterback, Joe Montana, and I remember being in that wide receiver room with the mindset of don't be the one. Don't be the one that causes us issue. Don't be the one that causes any undue spotlight on Joe. And that's the kind of mindset these guys have to have, is that, yeah, it's all fun and games with the pregame pictures and the dances and the handshakes and all that stuff. That's all great. But when it comes down, what it comes down to it is we can't allow the greatest quarterback in the game to look bad. We can't allow us to be the story on why his greatness is not shown. And that's a personal thing. That's one of those deals where you look in the mirror and you got to say, you know what, whatever I got to do, whatever I've had to do this week after practice, before practice, in meetings, I can't allow that I can't allow anything to sully Patrick Mahomes like we did last week in Denver. Everybody knows, the wide receivers have as big egos or maybe even bigger egos than most other players on the field. We also know we take a lot of pride in our craft. That's what has to be at the forefront this week. It has to be about like what they saw last week, what they've seen periodically through this season, leading the NFL in drops, and just being the story. Can't be something that we carry on any further, and what better place to do it than going head-to-head against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and those guys.
Dane, and I asked them a question earlier because I was thinking about it myself. I know the opportunity's been more in Skyy Moore's lap to this point, but if I asked you if Skyy Moore and Kadarius Toney finished with more receiving yardage the rest of the way, who do you think the answer is?
Skyy Moore. And part of the reason why I say that is I haven't seen the vertical abilities of Kadarius Toney work in this offense yet. Now, do I feel like he can? Yes. But we haven't seen, and I think we've seen a sample size, a good enough sample size to ask for that, to wonder about it, is can he line up outside the numbers and run a hook route, comeback route, take off, post corner, Dino route, all of those different routes that are on that route tree. Have we seen Kadarius Toney line up on the outside edge of the numbers, middle numbers, inside edge of the numbers, and run those routes? And the answer is no. So either, and I don't think it's a can't, it just hasn't. So I feel like that's the growth process. While we've seen Skyy Moore run those routes, we've seen him be successful in those routes, especially at the end of last year. So answering the question, I would say Skyy Moore right now until I see more from not just the motion and shift and the flip bone and lining up in the backfield and the whirly burl motion. All that stuff is great, but some of it is smoke and mirrors because as a wide receiver, to me, you have to have the ability to line up on the line of scrimmage and beat the guy in front of you vertically.
Dan, why is it, though, like you're right, all that's true, that Toney hasn't shown any of that. Why were the Chiefs talking about him this offseason like they had already decided he could do that? Like they were making it sound like in practice, Danan, he was more than capable of that. When the regular season rolled around, they weren't using him that way at all.
Yeah, I don't know that answer. I really don't. I know that there are times where guys showcase things in OTAs and training camp that make you think, okay, wow, we got something here. And then for whatever reason, it doesn't really translate when the season comes around, dealing with injuries as well. Also, it might be that other guys, and this is maybe a component of this offense that I've seen in past years, that guys get fit into a package. They get fit into a slot because other guys might be better. It might be possible that Justin Watson and MVS and Rashee Rice are better vertical receivers. So do you take those guys out of certain positions and situations for the sake of putting who might be the fourth best guy running a curl route or the fourth best guy running a deep in because you want to fit him in somewhere? Those are the questions that I just don't know the answers to. But I can tell you there's never been a receiver that has had success without being able to line up and go vertical. Remember, Tyreek Hill, even early in his career, there was a lot of motions, a lot of jet sweeps, a lot of different things going sideline to sideline. But what we saw in his greatness was when it was time to line up in the slot against the Buffalo Bills and run a 12-yard in and take it to the house in the playoffs, he did that. When it was time to run fourth down against the Baltimore Ravens, and Patrick threw the ball across his body, across the field with three defenders, Tyreek Hill came down with the ball. Those are the things that separate you as a wide receiver. Heck, we're seeing that from Justin Watson coming back from an elbow injury, and he's running corner routes like he's a top receiver. Okay, great. Let's see some of that from Kadarius Toney, and I don't know why we haven't seen that on a consistent basis yet.
We're talking to Danan Hughes, former Chiefs wide receiver. He'll be part of the broadcast on Sunday morning from Frankfurt, Germany on the Chiefs radio network. Isaiah Pacheco, Danan, only got eight carries in the game against Denver. And when you're looking at that, I know they're never going to be run first. Nobody's saying they should be run first or anything like that. But That was surprising to me. I feel like there still is a little bit of the running game that can help them through this passing game struggle right now.
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like this might be the perfect game to show that, because kind of like what teams have tried to do to us, what has been the best defense against this Chiefs offense since Patrick Mahomes has taken over? It's usually the other team's offense staying on the field a long time. And the way you do that is by the run game. Well, now we've kind of met a team that almost mirrors us offensively. And it would behoove us to maybe employ some of that by utilizing the run game a little bit more. We have at times been a little bit more predictable, where we may run the ball on first down, not get a whole bunch, and then it's airing it out. And maybe keeping the defense off kilter just a bit by running the ball on first and second down might work. And this could be the game to do so, to keep that offense cooling on the sideline with a healthy mix, more of a mix of run and pass for us, would help the offensive lineman out, would help the protection out, would help the clock, time of possession. So I feel like this is a perfect game to maybe open up the offense and the run game a little bit more. And Isaiah Pacheco will be chomping at the bit to have those opportunities. I'd like to see him carry the ball, or maybe an assortment of he and CEH and Jerick McKinnon 20 times. That might be a lot, but I feel like this could be a game that we could see that.
Well, safe travels, man. Appreciate you giving us some time. Are you going to be able to stay a few days after, or are you coming right back?
Coming right back.
Okay.
Sleeping mostly all the way, I would assume. But I'll be back here late Sunday night, early Monday morning.
All right, so you'll be back at it, players only, next Thursday night, right?
Oh,
sorry, I'm speaking
actually,
too soon.
I don't think so. Yeah, because it's right before the bye week. So I think we're off, then back on, then off again for Thanksgiving. So this month for players only is a little bit hit or miss because of the bye week and the holiday. But we'll be back strong when we get on.
All right, man. Looking forward to it. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks a lot.